Hey guys, this is a more serious and sad video about the contents of the Gears and Gizmo update, or GAG for short. As of writing this, the blog post has only been out for 2 days, and while there has been some movement about the fate of Ubers, I'm still compelled to make this video going over my thoughts. I'm going to try and do this in one or two takes. So if I mess up a little bit, that's going to be why. For those of you who don't know me, I've been making Uber content on YouTube and Twitch since late 2023. When I completed my main tune, I've been playing Ubers and challenging myself to learn everything about this game. It was not an easy journey at first, especially because I hadn't figured out how the accuracy and aggro systems worked yet, and I was still under the impression that it was a simple Toontown Online aggro system where the aggro can still fail 25% of the time. Eventually, through my own experiences, I made the quote unquote official Uber doc, going over strats for every manager in detail with notes, calculators for damage, aggro, and AoE chances. And lastly, a compendium of every Uber milestone, whether that be if that Uber type beat the manager or if they also grinded them for drops. It's all recorded on this document. For anyone curious enough, I'll drop the link in the description. So, what's being changed about Ubers? Well, they're being completely and utterly removed from the game. And instead of leaving us alone and forcing us to take on a challenge as we normally do, they decided it's time to do away with us. Even though we have never been pandered towards or gained any real benefit from any update, and if anything, in a certain update for Pacesetter, one of the staff members thought it was funny to make him do just a little bit extra damage, so that way he will insta-kill any 34 laugher if he does an AoE. I'm going to be reading passages from the blog post and giving my honest opinions about them. Keep in mind, I will not be going over anything else regarding the blog post unless it goes into certain points, mainly being the lure gag changes. To honor and commemorate their long legacy, each Ubertoon will get a very special, exclusive furniture item. This one sentence has become an entire meme in the Uber Discord and Uber community. It is a giant slap in the face that we will be receiving a measly piece of furniture that we in the Uber Discord have dubbed it as the Uber chair. Because as of reading that document, we had no idea what it was going to be. But one item for the hundreds or thousands of hours that the most dedicated Ubers have put into the game. I could go on and on about how disrespected we feel about this. However, we have been told by a past Clash Death member on Discord, which has been confirmed about the previous role. Don't worry about the color being missing on the screenshot. That the furniture item in question is a bit more than what we expected. It is, in fact, not a chair, stating it's meant to be a dynamic piece of commemoration about how far we gotten. Honestly, this reward is pretty cool now that it's explained better. However, because of the severity of this update, with them being completely removed, the main question is what Uber is going to keep playing on the tune and actually have this up on their wall. I have my main tune I can use, and I have 3 Ubers on just one account. If they all get completely respect, what is the point of playing on any of them? I'm not going to go on all of those tunes only to tell people to look at my unfurnished house with just one piece of furniture they give us. I could multi-tune with it, but without a reason to multi-tune, like helping my Uber, there's no reason to do that besides filling a group. This caused a lot of confusion and FOMO, fear of missing out, for newer players, and only continued to sow anxiety and discourse in the community. While I do agree that our accomplishments in proving that Ubers can be a valid playstyle for those with advanced knowledge for the Hires and Heroes update, I cannot agree with this point of it causing the fear of missing out and sowing anxiety and discourse. We have given them ideas on how they can bring them back in a healthy way, the most popular one being a New Game Plus option, where if a tune had 150 laugh and made a new tune on that account, the option to create an Uber would be available. This rewards people for sticking around with the game and gives them a way to experience the game like never before. Although I will say I have heard stories of people being sad they can't make an Uber, and that some people who have gotten one from a friend ended up only playing on them for a little bit and then ditching them because they, quote unquote, had a legacy tune they could play on. These next sections are from the 5 bulletins from the posts, and I want to go over each one of them. Doesn't completely address the issue of Ubers still getting stomped by randomness that players can't control and shouldn't fully control. Now, I hate to sound sarcastic for the very first point, but for this one, all I can really say is welcome to being an Uber. RNG is just the core of doing these challenge runs. Not every run is going to be successful, and no matter how well planned out my routes are, there's always going to be some form of AoE or cheat lurking around the corner depending on the boss you're fighting. Some of them, like Chainsaw Consultant, only have a 15% AoE frequency. Meanwhile, Multislacker, for some reason, has a 25% frequency. And don't get me started on Major Player's 40% frequency, having two 20s in his arsenal, making him much, much harder than typical managers. But it's just the cost of playing as an Uber. It's all one giant, skillful gamble. Doesn't account for if there's more than one Uber in the group. While I'm pretty sure this point is for the update only, you do have to admit that we have done some crazy stuff, such as 434 Laugh Major Player, Multislacker, Witch Hunter, and Rainmaker, with eventual plans to try and do 434 Laugh Chainsaw Consultant. 25s are no slouch either, with 425 Laugh Multislacker, Witch Hunter, and Rainmaker. However, for typical manager fights, you only ever bring one Uber into the fray at a time, so I'm not sure why the blog is trying to account for multi-Uber fights, unless it's also talking about apartment bosses, which, with Days being the replacement for Lure and Cogs attacking each round, I do understand this point to a degree. You can't have 4 one-laughers doing bosses anymore, because wiping full groups is, according to this blog post, going to be near impossible without coordination. Contrives game mechanics too much just for the sake of Ubers. The fact that this is a bulletin confuses me. Kudos managers were never changed for Ubers and should never be made to contrive game mechanics because we are a challenge. We are an enigma. Causes major tolls in game balance and design. Again, a 15 laugher beat Chainsaw and farmed all his drops. I'm not sure what tolls there are in current day Clash or Gears and Gizmos, but we meticulously research cheats in order to find solutions to them. We were given a challenge and we route accordingly, and will continue to do so no matter what is being changed in this update. May not make them feel like Ubers anymore. Some players may not want the game to cater to them. Difficulty is the point of their tune, and they would prefer to play with the hand they are dealt. I do understand this first point if they tried changing how Ubers work in general. And the second point is basically what every Uber main has said multiple times. There should never be a reason to cater to a challenge tune. We will find a way regardless, no matter how many routes or revisions we have to make to get to the goal. Those are the points I wanted to go over in regards to the blog. I do not know the staff members who wrote this section of the blog. However, I have been hearing opinions from streamers and community members alike that felt like it was a bit too biased and lacking better reasoning for some of the explanations given. Just to reiterate, I have no qualms with whoever wrote this section. However, I do feel that the explanations, especially regarding any compensation, needed to be given more explanation, and the only reason we know what the furniture item is from a past staff member talking in the Discord about it. I do want to specifically point out one staff member in particular, Michael Bacon, aka Crazy, who has been on our side, knowing how many hours we have put into our Ubers and all of the accomplishments we have done. He even roots for us to win and is always excited for us breaking his game, as silly as it is. Since the blog post, he has talked to some Ubers, including myself in my Discord server, on a healthier way to potentially add Ubers in, as well as restrictions that we can have to ensure that everyone's happy. One of these restrictions is not allowing us to join public groups unless being invited specifically by the host, or unless the host themselves is an Uber. This basically forces Ubers to make their own groups, and thus, people joining these groups know exactly what they are getting into, and no longer will people have to worry about an Uber joining their Oklo or Kudos managers ever again, since those would require specific strategies, and randoms don't want to do that unprompted. The last thing I want to say is that we have been in a similar situation before with the Hires and Heroes update, where they have directly said the content is not made for Ubers, and that most fights are going to be near impossible or completely impossible for some Ubers. And while it's true that Chainsaw Consultant is the only manager that is impossible for one laughers, and near impossible for some others like Major Player and Plutocrat, we have always found a way to make it possible for every other manager. Ubers are not just a throwaway joke. They are a challenge tune, and it is something that is near and dear to my heart. Without Ubers, I would have quit Clash a long, long time ago. I had nothing left to do in the game. I grinded all the drops, basically bought everything in the gumball machine and the scrafting stores, and I had nothing but a little less laugh and a dream when I was playing on my Uber. I want to thank you for coming to my little rant, and to end it off, I have asked the Uber Discord if anyone had anything they wanted to put into this video at the end, and while there's only a few, I think 3 as of this recording, it would be a crime to not let people's voices be heard. We only have one message to send to the corporate Clash team: save our Ubers. Thank you again, and good night.